Time is definitely limited, but even if you waited until the absolute last second to start preparing for the holidays on Amazon, there's still plenty of money to be made. Let's just skip the boring intro part. You're here to make money, and I want to show you the 3-step process to actually make money on the holidays with as little time as possible. Those 3 steps are going to boil simply down to sourcing products, then we're going to list those products, then we're going to actually ship the products as we sell these orders. And where this is going to differ from how a typical Amazon sourcing process would go is, since it's during the holidays right now, we need to be able to find short-term opportunities that we can take advantage of via Amazon FBM. So I went ahead and pulled up this product as an example, just because it is, honestly, it's a recent auto ungated brand that I found. I hadn't come across this brand before, tested it, and it was auto ungated for my store. The key to sourcing products that we're going to be able to sell in a quick turnaround time is mainly just looking for people who are already doing Amazon FBM. Keep in mind, this listing has an FBA seller and an FBM seller, but when you find an Amazon seller who's on a listing doing Amazon FBM, that means that a good amount of their store, if not all of their store, is going to be other Amazon FBM products. And the reason why that's so important for this time of year is when we source these FBM products, the second it shows up on our door, we can have those listed on Amazon. And a lot of times I even have those products sold as they're showing up on my front porch. But in order for us to make these FBM sales, we need to look for a couple things in particular. So let's start with step 1. I'll show you the entire process. I'm just going to load this up here, and hopefully we can find a profitable product here together. Because what this is going to show me now is every product that this person sells. And like we've already established, this person is doing Amazon FBM, which means that we'll be able to jump on these opportunities, and we're not competing with Amazon FBA sellers who will tend to hog a lot of the opportunities. So let's just go ahead and jump in here. When I'm doing sourcing, I usually like to go brand by brand. So for example, let's just start looking at Nautica products. And there's going to be some important data points that we're looking at in order to know if it's a really quick flip or if it's something that would take some time. Obviously, right now we're only interested in quick flips. So something like this, as I'm looking through doing storefront stalking, if you're brand new to Amazon, basically just looking at what other successful sellers are already selling and then figuring out what I can sell based on that. So this is a skip for me because I can see Amazon has been on this listing for a long time. I don't want to compete on listings where Amazon sells it. Let's see, we've got a t-shirt. We need to buy this for $8.17. And we also need to make sure that there are sales going to third-party FBM sellers. So for example, on this, see how it says it's shipped from Amazon and sold by this third-party company right here. And also when I go down to the buy box data on SellerAmp, it's going to show me a ton of FBA sellers are winning the sales. So this could be a good product, but for our purposes, we're not super interested in it because we can only source things that are FBM friendly. FBA warehouse check-in times typically take 2 to 3 weeks. So especially if you're watching this as I'm recording this here in 2025, way too late to send things into the Amazon warehouse. So let's keep on moving. So that is sold by Amazon right there. Let's see, there's some kind of dress shirt going on. Let's see what this is looking like. So this is better. Nice. We got an item that is shipped and sold by the same person, which means that we're dealing with an FBM offer. Then I also want to go ahead and just add, let's see, button down shirt right there. Go ahead and see what we're working with. So wrinkle resistant shirt. A lot of these are like $20. Some of them are 30. Let's go ahead and see what we got. So cradle pink. So right here we got the bright white. So out of stock on the medium and the extra large. We can get 20% off on these, which while I'm filming right now, there's lots of good sales going on. And that's kind of one of the other keys with this is when you're picking a brand to source, ideally try to see if they have some kind of coupon or sale or something like that going on. So right now we've got a big 20% going on. Let's see. So we're looking at the large, which is in stock on our listing here. There was also this clearance one. That's just like a bluish color of some kind. So let's see, this size large, $30 minus 20% right here. That's not going to make it quite profitable. One other thing we can do is check for discounted gift cards. So whenever I place an order, I can go and use essentially discounted gift cards. Hopefully that's self-explanatory, but basically I can go to these marketplaces and say, hey, I want to buy a bunch of these $50 gift cards for a 22% off discount. And essentially I'm going to pay $38.90 for each of them. And then I'll just get those discounted gift cards emailed to me, use them at checkout. And that's a good way to save, in this case, another 22.9%, which is pretty good and actually makes this item profitable. So this is profitable right here. I do also want to show you one other important caveat, especially if you've already been selling on Amazon for a little bit. You probably also have your fee calculator defaulted to FBA down here. I know I do. I do FBA pretty much the entire year, except for taking advantage of these last minute holiday opportunities. So I can switch this to FBM. And now I need to know, hey, what's my FBM shipping on this going to cost? So in this case, I'm not sure. We have $12 to work with, and that would be our profit and our FBM shipping. So let's go ahead and check. And the way I can check that is say, hey, all right, this item is 7 ounces. And then I'll also give you just some nice cost estimates here. We'll talk about what this means over here. To be really important after we're sourcing products. But in this case, a 7-ounce product, let's just round up to that $5.50 price point. This is data from doing a ton of FBM shipping myself. And now we just need to make sure that this item that we know is already being shipped and sold by an FBM seller is nice and profitable. So let's go ahead and plug in 550 right there. And yeah, this looks good. So we got a great FBM friendly item. You could buy this right now, have it shipped to you. It would show up in probably 3 days usually a lot of these websites will end up taking. You can have that listed, and then as soon as you list that product on Amazon, you're going to start to make sales. So all things considered, really not too bad. I've been recording for 8 minutes and we've already found a profitable product. Just keep in mind when you're doing this for yourself, make sure you're sourcing things that are shipped and sold by one third-party seller. Make sure it does not say that it's shipped from Amazon. Otherwise, you'll be competing with FBA sellers, which typically have a harder time winning sales from. Now, if you want to find more profitable products like this, all you have to do is continue to dive into storefronts. Another good thing you could take advantage of is if you're worried about the ungating process. Let's say you're not already approved to sell Nautica. Even though to get ungated in Nautica, all we would need to do is make sure we buy at least 10 of these from the website right here and then submit that invoice to Amazon. Even if you're concerned about that process for whatever reason, you can also go ahead and repeat this process and only storefront stock these auto ungated brands. For example, this Variety Athletics that I went ahead and tested today was an auto ungate for me. It seems to be an auto ungate for lots of other people. I'll also give you Danner's shoelaces, great value like the Walmart brand, or Stafford clothing. Those also tend to be auto ungates for a lot of sellers. So if you're truly at zero right now, you're worried about ungating, worried about sourcing, try one of those brands and just storefront stock solely those brands, and you'll be able to find some good stuff even if you wait until the last second. And with that in mind, you know the basics of sourcing the product. Let's jump back into making sure you actually make money on these items in terms of listing these products, because especially if you haven't done FBM before, it's really easy to mess this up. So what you'll need to do is set up your shipping template next. So this is where you need to go within Amazon Seller Central, and you can either pause the video or whatever. I'll also just briefly talk you through, make sure your standard shipping is free for all the states that you can reach. Usually I make it free in the lower 48. And then also make sure that you set these states that are further away from you to 5 to 8 day shipping, and any of the states that are a little bit closer to you to 2 to 4 day shipping. Within that, also make sure you're charging plenty of money for expedited shipping. This is actually the template that I use outside of Q4. So you can even charge more money than this for expedited shipping. Just make sure that this would be the bare minimum that you're setting up on your Seller Central. Another thing to keep in mind as you're setting up your store for FBM is if you ever have any questions about all this kind of stuff, you can always just go into Boxem, which is the software you use for listing, shipments, analytics, kind of the whole back end of your business. There's also the first ever Amazon Seller AI. So it's basically ChatGPT if it was trained to be an expert Amazon seller. And let's say you're a brand new seller, you want it to walk you through how to go in and set up shipping templates and what to set templates to exactly. Boxem AI can do that. Not to mention you can also have Boxem AI source for you or have it suggest where you can source certain brands. There's a lot of potential to be found using the Boxem AI. No, I wish I definitely had that when I was getting started on Amazon. And then once you've gone ahead and set up one of those FBM shipping templates, again, I showed you the basics there, but if you want to walk through it with Boxem AI, I think that's a good application. Then you're just going to go to the homepage of Boxem. We're going to go ahead and go to inventory and then list FBM. And then we're just going to go ahead and take that product where in this case, we just found this button down shirt. Let's go ahead and go back over to Boxem and then paste that ASIN. Again, that's just basically the unique barcode up there. Go ahead and add that SKU to our inventory here. I'm going to go ahead and set my price a little bit above the current buy box owners right there. And then you can also choose which shipping template you want to set it up as. A lot of times it'll just be like migrated template or whatever you named the shipping template that you set up. As long as you set one up just like this, you'll select that shipping template there. In this case, we can set our cost on this. We paid $18.50 for this after all of our discounts. And then we can also just say, hey, we bought 10 of these for the sake of example, as well as being able to add our supplier and the date purchased. So that way it's embedded in the SKU, and on Boxem, you're able to see analytics by supplier, by ASIN, all that kind of stuff. So you can kind of have all those stats separated out for you. So you actually know how much money you're making after it's all said and done. Then you're just going to click the submit button that's right behind my head on the video here, submit that FBM listing right there. And that'll typically load for 5 or 10 minutes. It'll be live on Amazon, and then you are ready to make those sales. So I wouldn't do this listing process, or at least I wouldn't press submit on this until those items are actually on the doorstep, just in case they accidentally sent you too little or sent you the wrong thing or something like that. Then you can be in some trouble if customers are expecting that item and you got to take it up with the supplier. I always just like to make sure that I have the item in hand before I actually press submit right there and let those sales start rolling in. Although I will say a popular thing this time of year is pickup arbitrage, where a lot of people will place an order at walmart.com and they'll list that item on Amazon at the same time. And as those orders sell via FBM, they'll just take the labels to the Walmart pickup, bring some boxes, put those items straight in the box, drop them off at UPS. In one run, you just go pick up the stuff at Walmart and then also drop it off at UPS. A little bit risky for my taste, but I know a ton of people who are doing that as well. So I'll just float that to you as an idea you can definitely take advantage of as well, especially if you're wanting to make the most of these last minute opportunities with Amazon. And then once you have those items actually listed, you'll start to see those sales roll in. You'll either get a notification on the Amazon Seller app or on the dashboard on Seller Central. You'll also see a little button that says ship orders. It's pretty self-explanatory. You literally just enter in dimensions and wait. It tells you to print out a shipping label. Pretty easy. I don't even feel like I need to dive into it with you guys. The more important part is definitely the sourcing and the templates that we already dove into. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to drop those down below, as well as making sure you grab a 2-week free trial of Boxem and SellerAmp down below. Make sure you have those tools you actually need to run your Amazon business. And if you found this helpful, please subscribe. All that YouTubery stuff helps me out with the algorithm. I really appreciate you watching this video. If you want to see me source more profitable products, I tried to see how much money I can make in 15 minutes, go ahead and click this video right here.